Thank you for joining Wars of the Roses as we continue with Part 14, The Gnostics, Book Two Emaistationists, from Secret Societies of All Ages, Volume 1, by Charles William Heckethorn. 3. The Gnostics, 118. Character of Gnosticism. The leading ideas of Platonism are also found in the tenets of the Gnostics, that is, those who know, coloro che sanno. And they continued during the 2nd and 3rd centuries, the schools that raised a barrier between recondite philosophy and vulgar superstition. Under this aspect, Gnosticism is the most universal heresy, the mother of many posterior heresies, even of Arianism, and reappears among the alchemists, mystics, and modern transcendentalists. 119. Doctrines. The Gnostics assumed an infinite, invisible being, an abyss of darkness, who, unable to remain inactive, diffused himself in emanations, decreasing in perfection the further they were removed from the center that produced them. They had their grand triad, whose personifications, matter, the demiurgus, and the savior, comprised and represented the history of mankind and of the world. The superior emanations, partakers of the attributes of the divine essence, are the eons, distributed in classes according to symbolical numbers. Their union forms the pleroma, or the fullness of intelligence. The last and most imperfect emanation of the pleroma, according to one of the two grand divisions of Gnosticism, is the demiurgus, a balance of light and darkness, of strength and weakness, who, without the concurrence of the unknown Father, produces this world, there imprisoning the souls, for he is the primary evil opposed to the primary good. He encumbers the souls with matter, from which they are redeemed by Christ, one of the sublime powers of the pleroma, the divine thought, intelligence, the spirit. For humanity is destined to raise itself again from the material to the spiritual life, to free itself from nature and to govern it and to live again in immortal beauty. According to the other party of the Gnostics, the demiurgus was the representative and organ of the highest God, who was placed by the divine will, especially over the Jewish people, as their Jehovah. Men are divided into 3 classes: the terrestrial men, of the earthy, tied and bound by matter; the spiritual men, the nenmatikoi, who attain to the divine light; the psychikoi, who only rise up to the demiurgus. The Jews subject to Jehovah were psychikoi. The pagans were terrestrial men, the true Christians, or Gnostics, pneumatikoi. 120. Development of Gnosticism. Simon Magus, Menander his successor, Cerinthus, the apostle of the Millennium, and some others who lived in the 1st century are looked upon as the founders of Gnosticism, which soon divided into as many sects as there arose apostles. This may be called the obscure period of Gnosticism, but at the beginning of the 2nd century, the sect of Basilides of Alexandria arose, and with it various centers of Gnosticism in Egypt, Syria, Rome, Spain, etc. Basilides, who corrupted Gnosticism with Indian and Egyptian fancies, assumed 365 eons or cycles of creation, which were expressed by the word abraxas, whose letters, according to their numerical value in Greek, produce the number 365. By abraxas was meant, in its deeper sense, the supreme God, but the reader will at once detect the astronomical bearing and remember the words Mithras and Belenus, which also severally represent that number, and the supreme God, viz. The Sun. Valentinus also is a famous Gnostic, whose fundamental doctrine is that all men shall be restored to their primeval state of perfection. That matter, the refuge of evil, shall be consumed by fire, which is also the doctrine of Zoroaster, and that the spirits in perfect maturity shall ascend into the pleroma, there to enjoy all the delights of a perfect union with their companions. From the Valentinians sprang the Ophites, calling themselves so after the serpent that by tempting Eve brought into the world the blessings of knowledge. And the Cainites, who maintained that Cain had been the first Gnostic, in opposition to the blind, unreasoning faith of Abel, and therefore persecuted by the demiurgus Jehovah. On this idea is founded the Masonic legend of the temple. The anti-tacts, opponents to the law, like the Ishmaelites at a later period, taught their adepts hatred against all positive religions and laws. The Adamites looked upon marriage as the fruit of sin. They called their lascivious initiation paradise, held all indulgence in carnal delights lawful, and advocated the abolition of dress. The Papuzians varied their initiations with the apparition of phantasms. among whom was a woman crowned with the sun and 12 stars, and having the moon under her feet, the Isis of Egypt and the Ceres of Greece. They found in the Apocalypse all their initiatory terminology. A Gnostic stone, represented in the work of Chiflet, shows 7 stars of equal size with a larger one above. These probably mean the 7 planets and the sun. There are, moreover, figured on it a pair of compasses, a square, and other geometrical emblems. Thus, all religious initiations are ever reducible to astronomy and natural phenomena. 121. Spirit of Gnosticism. The widely opposite ideas of polytheism, pantheism, monotheism, the philosophical systems of Plato, Pythagoras, Heraclitus, together with the mysticism and demonology that after the Jewish captivity created the Kabbalah, all these went towards forming Gnosticism. And the aristocracy of mind, powerful and numerous as none had ever been before, that arose in the first centuries of our era, even when adopting the new faith, could not but loathe the thought of sharing it completely with the crowd of freed and unfreed slaves around them, with the low and poor in spirit. The exclusiveness of Gnosticism, which was one of the causes why it was violently persecuted by the fathers of the Church as damnable heresy, was undoubtedly, next to the attractiveness of its dogmas, one of the chief reasons of its rapid propagation and its lasting influence on modern religious systems. It is said that the Gnostics recognized one another by slightly tickling the palm of the person with whom they shook hands. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment, and if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Roses. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.